Hey YouTube, how is it going? Today is the first day of spring. And happy anniversary to one of my good girlfriends and her husband out in Chicago. The only anniversary I remember of any of my friends. Well, no, two, because anyway, that's not what this is about. So YouTubies, I'm here today, and today I wanted to talk about getting back in school. I had saw a comment where a young lady was saying that that's one of the goals that she wanted to do, and I don't know if she's done that or not, but I wanted to talk about getting back in school, and who better to talk about getting back in school than me, the career student. I am 36 years old, and I got my bachelor's degree in 2009. And I got my MBA, which is Master's of Business Administration, in 2011. And I'm back in school again for another master's degree in Information Technology. And I think I've said it before, my goal is to bridge the gap between my business intellect and my computer and information technology intellect, because it's all rattling around up there. So I'm going to try to bring them together and do a little business analysis where I would be like the go-between between like the stakeholders of a company and the actual IT department. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it. Another reason why I chose to go back to school again for another master's instead of everybody's like, well, you don't get a PhD. Two reasons why I don't get why I have not decided yet to get a PhD. Number one is money. I have a large student loan debt, and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me because I feel like it's an investment in myself, and no matter how much it is, I mean, I'm worth more than what my student loan debt is, and so that part doesn't bother me. Number two, there are companies out here that will do debt forgiveness, and there are a lot of government agencies, the federal government, where if you get a job with them, they'll do debt forgiveness or debt cancellation. And what that means is that you don't pay it back. You know, they cancel that debt for you, and in exchange for your service as their employee or whatever have you, whatever the company is. Also, there's other ways to cancel debt. The number two way, well, number one way is federal service. You can also join, I believe it's the Peace Corps or something like that. And you can also cancel and have debt forgiven that way. You can also become a teacher or a nurse. And if you're a teacher or a nurse in certain areas, in certain urban cities, you can also have your debt canceled or forgiven. There's also legislation, and I'm hoping, the only reason why I voted in the presidential election, or one of the only reasons why, was because I'm hoping that in a lame duck session, President Obama would push for student loan reform. And there's a couple of organizations out here that are pushing for student loan reform. There's already legislation that's been introduced by the senator in Michigan, or a representative in Michigan. I believe he's a representative, Hanson Clark. And currently, the law states that if you serve in a public institution or a public capacity, so let's say you could be a teacher for a public school, you can work for your local city, your local state, or the federal level, any public service that you do right now. If you do that public service and make 10 consecutive years, and that's 10 years, I believe it's 360 payments or something like that, but it's 10 years of on-time payments, the rest of your student loans will be forgiven. that was a big thing for me also. So even if I don't work for an agency where they forgive debt, I'll probably always stay in the public sector just for that very reason. Number one, I like to help people. I like giving back. I like being of public service. I like being of service to the public. And I've worked for the local government here in Lakeland. I've worked for the government in Arizona also. So I kind of like that area. And any payments that you make while working in the public sector, so you could be working for a college, you know, a public university, public schools, anything. 10 years of making payments on time, and you can have the rest of that loan forgiven. Now, it probably takes a lot of people to pay off their loan, way more than 10 years. And putting 10 years in at a job is not really that difficult these days. If you've already been working in the public sector and you've been making payments on your student loans and they've been on time for the past 10 years, you can still do this. They can go back and certify all the payments that you've made, and then you could have the rest of your loans forgiven. Now, I do believe your loans have to be held with the Department of Education. And if you're getting student loans now, they should be, because they've done away with you getting loans from Sallie Mae and other private companies or organizations, and now the government handles student loans completely. So all of my student loans were consolidated into one big loan, or two big loans, and they're now with the Department of Education. I only have one loan that is outside of that, and that loan was a Perkins loan, because Perkins loans can't be consolidated, and they are also not a part of the student forgiveness plan too. So the legislation that's where I was going with that. The legislation that is on file right now, or in the works, is the Student Forgiveness Act. And what that act is trying to do is to reduce that time frame from 10 years to 5 years, which would be awesome. So check that out, look that up, Student Forgiveness Act. Get on board, lobby your senators, your local congressmen, because we need to pass that. We need that, because I'm a big proponent of education. I know education is not for everybody. I do believe that you need some type of education. However, everybody feels like college is not for them. But I would say learn a trade. Learn how to do something. Become a plumber, a welder, a roofer, you know, a carpenter. You need to become something, because otherwise it's gonna get only gonna get worse. And I mean, you can also be an entrepreneur. You do have that option, but you need to keep in mind that it's hard to start a business, and it's hard to keep a business running and to be profitable at it. And I don't know one business owner that doesn't put in an extended amount of time into a business, which is one reason why I'm not so entrepreneurial, is because I enjoy vacations. And I don't know a business owner today who is successful at running a business who has that ability to, you know, just take vacations, you know, at their leisure. And even if they do, they're still working. You can better believe Oprah's still working, no matter if she's in Chicago, California, Timbuktu, she's probably still working. So that's one of my, and I probably would be too as an employee, but that's just me. So going back to that, so that's another reason why I have not pursued the PhD thing yet, was the student loans. However, I did also find out that if you apply for a doctoral degree from a doctoral granting institution, there's no tuition. Now, you would have to be accepted. You more than likely have to take the GMAT, which I haven't done yet. You would have to take the GMAT and get a great score on that. You would also have to become accepted to that institution, because essentially what you're doing is all the research you're doing in your doctorate program, you're doing for that college, and they actually pay you a fellowship or some type of stipend also with the in addition to tuition with the program. Some of them do. So let me hurry up before the battery dies. So there'll probably be a part 2 to this. So that's why I haven't done the whole PhD thing yet, and I probably will at some point, not sure. So anywho, if you're looking to get back in school, here's some things that you definitely need to do in order to do it. Number 1, figure out what you want to be. You want to figure out what you want to be and what you want to do. Once you figure that out, I would also check the market. I would start checking online websites like Indeed, Monster, and Career Builder to see how lucrative is what you want to do, or how lucrative is the job you want to do. That's how you say that. Because not every job will be that lucrative. You might find something that doesn't pay that well. For instance, I don't know why, but being a teacher doesn't generally pay that well to begin out. Now, over time, you will, be able to earn a decent living. But teachers are grossly underpaid here in America. So those are one of the jobs that you do for the love, just like public service. You do that for the love of teaching children. You don't necessarily do it for the love of money, or just for the money in general. You do it for the love of what you do. Also in the public sector, those are also jobs that you do for the love. So like I said before, I worked in affordable housing. Those are one of those jobs you do for the love. You don't really make you make a decent wage, but you don't, you're not getting 6-figure salaries unless you're generally high up there, which generally aren't that many people, generally aren't women. So that's that. So you want to look at some things, maybe look at what you like and compare it to what's out there. I will tell you, IT is a very, very hot field still today. And I read that business analyst, that field is actually growing. Financial analysts, software analysts, marketing analysts, all of that stuff is growing because a lot of things are going online still. And you've heard that we were in the, is it the technology era? No, we were in the information age. Well, we're transitioning out of the information age into the knowledge age, because when the internet came up, we were flooded with all this information, and you can go on the internet now and get so much information. Well, information as it's collected becomes knowledge. So now we're transitioning into the knowledge age, and so a lot of things are going over to the internet or going in the cloud, as it were. So those fields, IT, software developers, database administrators, database developers, all of those folks are becoming very, very, very high in demand, and have been for some time. So those are areas you might want to look into. I think nursing and the medical field is still hot. I don't know about being a doctor per se, because you hear so much about the insurance and how they make their money, but I know nursing is still a pretty hot field to go into. I would say that the market for that is very saturated, and a lot of the programs are flooded with applications and waiting lists of folks trying to get into the nursing program. I know here in where I live around here in Florida, in the Tampa area, all the nursing programs are backed up with people trying to get into that program. So that's another area you can look into in your city. Number 2, another thing is, don't be afraid to leave where you are. If you're gonna go on a college campus, don't ever think you're too old to do that. Do it. You don't have to live on campus, and even if you do, so what? You can live in apartments around the campus, but don't think you're too old to go away and go to a university that's not in your local town or city. Do it. Get that college life. That's what I say. And if you're gonna go back, one of the first things you're gonna do, and I have my cards, is go to this website. It is FAFSA.gov. I'm pretty sure it's .gov. If not, just Google FAFSA and you will get that. You will get the website. That is the website where you go to apply for financial aid. That is very important. Any school you go to, they're going to direct you back to that website so that you can apply for financial aid. What you would do is you fill out the application online, you put in the schools that you're interested in going to, and then it sends those schools a report as to what you may be able to contribute for your education. So when you get ready to go online to fill out your FAFSA application, make sure you have your last year's income tax that you filed with you, because there are questions on there that you will need to answer. If you are under a certain age, I believe it's like 25 or 21 or something like that, you will have to have your parents' information, unless you have a dependent child. So if you have dependent children and you file head of household and you're under that threshold, then you don't need that otherwise. But I'm talking about going back to school. So I'm talking about folks that's in my range, you know, that's trying to go back. So you definitely won't need your parents' information, but you will need your last tax return that you filed. You have to have filed your last tax return. So, I mean, after you go there and kind of research out what's going to cost you, and you know kind of what school you want to go to, contact the school. The person on campus, the admissions counselor, is the best resource that you could ever have for going back to school. This last time, the enrollment counselor that I had at Capella University, I go online, just helped me hone in on what I wanted to do. When I called him, I didn't really know if I wanted to go back to school or not, and I know part of his job is to sell me on going back to school, but I had no clue on what I wanted to do. And he asked me one simple question: if you could make any amount of money in the world, or if you could make the kind of money that you want to make and do whatever you wanted to do in this world, what would it be? And I had to think about that. And I said, you know, I'm a great project starter. I'm full of ideas. I'm full of vision. I love to take an idea, take a vision, and write that out or turn that vision into a plan, make it work, make it go, and then turn it over. I wouldn't be able to tell you how many ideas I've given away in my head for businesses, down to the T on how to make it work, how to make it go, and then turn them over. That's what I like to do. In my last job, I leased up 2 properties from 0 residents to full residency in under the time that they allotted for me. And once I got the program down pat, you know, as to how I was going to do that and make my goals every month, I was exceeding the goals every month. And I was full 2 months before the deadline. That's what I like to do. And that's when he told me, you know, that's what a business analyst is. They analyze the business between the different parties. They implement the plan and the structure. They make the recommendations, and then they turn that over to the project manager. The project manager then runs the project. That's me. So you need to know what it is you want to do, and you can use that same question to kind of figure out what it is you want to do. It greatly helped me. I mean, I'm telling you, I've given away so many ideas. I gave away an idea for a radio station, for a friend who started a gospel radio station. He started on Blog Talk Radio, but nonetheless, it's running and it's up. He's getting sponsorships and all kinds of things. I just gave recently a cupcake business away to a friend who she started Lenny's Delectable Desserts, and now she's doing that over near the Orlando area, and she's getting her business. So I'm sometimes full of ideas. I say that I'm a great vice president because I can take the president's vision and make it run and make it go, and make them please, and we both make money in the process. So that's my thing. So I would say that's, make sure you know what it is you want to do. Find a school that specializes or that delivers what you're looking for. Find out if you want to go online or on campus. Everybody's not cut out to go online. It takes a little bit more discipline, and it takes a little bit of time management. It's not like you go and sit in a classroom and you have no choice but to sit in that classroom for the next 2 or 3 hours and take notes and blah 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 and yada yada yada. And the only thing you have to do afterwards is figure out how to get your homework done. With going online, usually, and I went to 3 schools that were online. Usually with online, there's going to be group discussions, and you have to enter into that discussion board or discussion room a certain number of times a day. Now with Capella, not per day, per week. Now with Capella, they don't give you a per week stipulation. You just have to get the discussion questions done, and you have to respond actually to other students. So you have to pretend like you're discussing. That's my weakest point of the program, is discussing. But you have to pretend like you're discussing, or you have to be discussing. Not pretend, but you have to be discussing. Now with University of Phoenix, where I got my MBA, you had to go in at least 3 days out of the week in order to get the full credit for participation. There's also assignments that you do on your own. So, and I went to University of Phoenix on campus and online. Some of my classes were online, and most of them I did on a campus, because you are with a cohort of students, and you're with that same group of students every class. So our learning teams were made up of the same people, and we knew each other. We knew how each other worked. They knew that I needed to have an A, nothing less. So that's how that worked. And that even works like that online too, where I go to classes and I see the same people kind of every class, and we kind of just stay in the same group every class, which is a good thing, because like I said, you learn how people work. You learn, they learn how you work, and they learn what your expectations are. That's another thing I would say. Set your goals and expectations. What do you want out of the program? Me personally, I have to have an A in every class. If I don't get an A in every class, then I will be upset. And it would take Lance to tell you how upset I will be at the threat of a B. So with that being said, in my MBA program, I got all A's or an A minus. Now I said I would settle for that. At Capella, there are no A minuses, so I better get an A in every class. And I'm 4 classes in, and I'm 4 A's to the good. So that's my own personal goal. So set little mini goals so that you challenge yourself and keep them for yourself. By no means do you have to have an A. A B is great. You know, a B is great. A C is good, you know. So you don't have to be like me. I'm just a little bit of a nerd. So yeah, let's see. We covered all the bases. You need to do the financial aid. You need to pick a school, pick a program. Don't be afraid to branch out and get out of your city. What else? Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to do the program. Don't be afraid to go back to school, no matter how long it takes you. Don't even look at the time. Time goes by so fast. It took me from 1995 to 2009 just to get a bachelor's degree, because in the interim I was a full-time mom, I was a full-time worker, employee at a job, you know, and my son was having some challenges in school. So in the midst of that, I changed programs like 3 times. I wanted to be a veterinarian first, and then I went to computer engineering, and then I went into management. So it's like, it doesn't matter, in my opinion, how long it takes you to get there, as long as you do. And as long as you're on point and you're making progress, as long as you get there is my thing. So don't ever let anybody look at you and say, oh, it took you. So what? It was the greatest feeling in the world when I got that bachelor's degree. I cried in my seat down there all by myself, because I knew that this was an accomplishment for myself, not looking at anybody else around me, but this was an accomplishment for myself. And the same happened with the MBA. So I might not cry with this next one, like, okay girl, you're over it. But yeah, go back. If school is what you want to do, go back. And that's all I got to say. So until the next time, YouTubies, I'm out. Peace.